Hey there, how's it going? Today I'm going to show you how you can make your metal riffs drop harder. That way you can get all the scene kids to pick up the change with a little more vigor on the dance floor. And it basically boils down to two things, risers, big-ass sonic booms, and just little synths here and there that can really assist it. So let's take a listen to the song we'll be working with, called The Arbiter of Taste by the band that I produce and mix, the Odious. You get the idea. So there's some cool little sound effects and whatnot in there that you don't really hear initially, but it makes a big difference. I'm going to start with basically the riser here. All right, so with risers, you can basically get these from any sound library, but I mean, there's no fun in that. Here's fun. Here's you snuffing out fun with an old pillow that your parents bought from Macy's. So we're going to make our own. And basically how you make your own is you just want to get some sound that has an initial transient that kind of has some nice character to it. It has a long sustain. And then you're going to basically take that sound, add a shit ton of reverb to it, reverse it, and then pitch bend it so that it kind of has this really nice kind of thing. Usually when I'm looking to do sound design stuff, I like to turn to Kontakt, and you can get this through Native Instruments Komplete, like the Giant. This thing sounds pretty cool. If you don't have the Ultimate package by Native Instruments, like seriously go get that because I use it pretty much every day. It's definitely been the most helpful thing to my productions. You get a lot of value for it. So I'm just gonna sit here and look for sounds that fit that package of that initial transient and that long decay. And I kind of like that. I feel like we can work with that. Make the reverb just a little bit bigger. And a little bit bigger. And I think we can get a little more character in that reverb by that's pretty cool, but it might get weird when we reverse it. Yeah. That's tight. I do like that. We'll take that sound. Let's just record it because we have to bounce it. Shit! Damn it! I had these things playing, but so we have our sound here. I edited it so that it starts right on that MIDI note, and we're just gonna bounce it in place so that I can pull it into a sampler. And so here's our piano noise. Pretty cool. I want to basically pitch bend this thing, and the best way I know how to do that is to pull it into battery, stereo, open sesame. Cool. All right. So let's get that sample over here. Here it is. Drag it in. All right, and then there it is. That's our sound. I don't even know if this does anything, but I want to try to get the sustain on this pretty good. So I'm going to turn that. But the key here is really this pitch envelope. And what we're going to do is I'm going to set it to go up, start off up 12 semitones, and then make it take about 2.7 seconds. And so you'll see what will happen. Ooh, we're going to bounce this, and we're going to reverse that. So check this out. Sweet. Okay, let's right there. Split. Cool. And let's bounce this guy in place. Piano noise. Well, I'm not that angry. Piano noise pitched stuff. Let's reverse this thing right now. In Logic, you just kind of file functions reverse. Cool. Let's see how this sounds. I'm feeling the suspense already. Let's make a duplicate of this guy. Let's pull you down to here. Oh, I meant to copy. So here's pitch stuff, and check this out. Here's what we're going to do to make this sound even more suspenseful. We're going to use Logic's shitty, not pitch correction. We're going to use Logic's shitty pitch shifter, and we're going to go up 2 semitones, set the mix to 100%, and so now it will sound even more dissonant. Check this out. That's so spicy. Let's combine these two guys. Bounce in place. It's combined. Cool. Let's put a compressor on it. I'm just going to set this to some values that I know will probably work. Actually, no. Let's just go 0 attack because I just want it to kick in right away. So let's see what happens here if we play these sounds combined. Cool, that works. Next thing, kind of want to put a reverb on this to just make it sound a little bigger. Let's see which reverb do we want to go with. Let's go with I do like, there's a dark one somewhere around here. Dark concert hall, cool. Not going to mess too much with this. And so combined, that's cool. Now, let's line this up in the mix here. Where are we at? I don't even know in this song. Let's drag this right up to where the drums are. Right there. Cool. So let's drag it over here. Let's see here. I wish this audio file was just a little louder. Do you know you could do that in Logic? This blew my mind. You just hold down on this little zoom in thing and you can actually adjust the waveform size. So let's do that. I think it probably ends right there. It does. Cool. Let's do it right there. And let's just drag this guy right up on that. Okay, cool. And here's what we'll see here so far. I didn't hear it too much, so let's just boost this volume, and this you can kind of play with forever. Yeah, I just want to make sure that we can hear that initial kind of rise, and then that it doesn't get too obnoxiously loud, and then that it just drops off, because the big part of this whole drop is to get silence so that the contrast more when that giant riff comes in, so... That's cool. I like that. Last thing we're going to do is just kind of thicken it up with an additional riser. And I know I said that if you take risers from sample libraries, you are a snuff artist of fun. And that is still true. But I totally used a riser from a sample library. I actually used Kontakt's Evolve Mutations. It sounds really good. And, I just didn't really feel like finicking. What's the word I'm looking for? Fiddling. I didn't feel like fiddling with making another riser. So let's take a look at this. The one I got was something that sounded like this. And then I put a high pass and low pass filter on it because you don't want too much low end content. You don't want too much high end. You don't want too much high end content. Because it'll help with the contrast when we go into the big drop. Kind of the same idea as all metal bands nowadays have those telephone guitarists that start a song where they'll go like... And so it's the same idea. Let's take a listen to it just with this thing that we made. Still badass. Here's combined. So it just adds a little more to make it sound just a little more produced and cool. So now that we got our riser, we just need some sort of boom to accentuate the downbeat. I'm just going to use the tracks that I had pre-existing from this session because there's really not much to it. The thing I like to do is just kind of pick a nice sample. So I'm going to use the Damage kit that comes with Native Instruments Komplete Ultimate Edition. Boom. That's like all you need. So I'm going to put that on the downbeat. And then also I always like to put a little sine sub thing there because it's easier to kind of push the subs harder if you've got a really nice clean signal you're working with. That sounds like this. Cool. Logic, the way I do it in Logic, it's so complicated, but for a sine wave, I will just go to the tutorial settings, I'll do analog saw knit, and then I'll push it to a sine wave, and then that's how I get a sine wave in Logic. So together, these will sound like this. Boom. So you got the high, kind of the key here though is you've got the high-end content from the plastics, right? And there's low end there too, but then you've got kind of this additional low end that will really kind of drive that sub, and especially when we've got our mastering chain on this, it will kind of pump the master bus compressor and kind of give a really cool effect. I'm not actually going to turn that on now. Ooh, making my bones rattle. So here's what we got so far. Let's take a listen. So that sounds pretty cool. You can really just stop there. But I mean, when you're mixing this stuff, try not to limit yourself to just drums, bass, and guitars. Look at how you can use keys or sound effects to kind of give your productions a richer texture. The thing that was bothering me with this section is these like jun jun. They weren't percussive enough. So I pulled up another synth, software instrument, Create. I'm going to use Native Instruments FM8 synth. Sounds awesome. The sound that I went for, yes, I did just browse through some presets. I'm sorry. But I was just kind of doing things quickly. Crunch Crusher. What does this sound like? So that arpeggiator, kind of lame. So we're just going to turn that off. So that's like pretty much all I want. I just want some sort of something that's percussive and has some grit to it. You can see they've got, like a tube amp distortion on there. So I think this will work really nicely for just kind of lining up with these jun jun, just to kind of make them sound a little more beefy. So typically the way I do these is I just kind of like guesstimate them in. So. Give me a break, okay? It's Logic's keyboard. I'm typing that out. There's latency. I'm sorry. So then what I'll do is, just kind of, you've got your kicks here. I'll kind of pull this up, lining this ish up, basically just right to the kick. And you can see that this song wasn't quantized. That was kind of a conscious choice. We really wanted to just see if we could just get a natural drum sound, tone, performance. There's no samples on the snare or toms. Kick got kind of messed up, so we actually had to sample replace that. So I'm going to spare you me, just screwing around with that and lining that up. You can see here's the final track I had from the pre-existing session. I added in an octave just so it sounded a little cooler. It sounds like this. Sounds dope. So not necessarily, but I mean, when you get it in there with the distorted guitars, I think it really makes a difference. So here's it with the distorted guitars. Here's without. Lost its balls. So yeah, and I mean, it is still a little subtle. This is not the kind of thing that you want the listener to be like, hey, in that part, you put that super bad 80s synth from FM8. There's a few other things we could do with this mix. We could maybe sidechain the bass to the kick drum during this one spot so it kind of pumps a little more. You could add in additional drum samples. You could even put a compressor on the entire drum bus. I've done that before, and it's really cool. But I tried all those things on this part, and it just felt a little too much, and I'm pretty happy with the way it sounds with just these few additional orchestration choices, if you want to call it. So let's just take a listen to it without those one more time. I mean, I like it, but it just sounds a little heavier if you just get the riser, the bass drops, and the Candy Crusher. All right, thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please subscribe to our channel. If you like the song or want to hear more from the Odious, check out our Bandcamp page here. And Also like us on the Facebooks. Thank you.